Welcome to Valor and Virtue. I'm Jim Danielson. Today we have with us Master Gunnery Sergeant Brian Carey, United States Marine Corps retired. And as usual, we'd like to begin by asking him to tell us a bit about yourself and what led you to become a Marine.
First, honored to be here. What led me to become a Marine? I was one of 9 children, and 2 of my older brothers had joined the Air Force. And when it come my time, I knew my dad had served in World War II in the Marine Corps, and I just felt I needed to take up that challenge. I was a very skinny, as I still am, individual, and was told by many of my high school or counterparts I would never make it. That is what inspired me.
Really?
I began running while I was in high school. I was running 10 miles a day by the time I left for Marine Corps. Boot camp was a challenge, don't get me wrong. But the way a family of 9 were brought up back in the day, boot camp was really not all that different.
Did your dad talk to you like a drill instructor?
My dad very seldom spoke of the Marine Corps. In fact, we never talked heart to heart about the Marine Corps.
No kidding.
Until after he and my mom signed the papers.
Were you under 18?
I was initially sworn into Marine Corps Reserve by Brigadier General Freiberg in Worcester, Massachusetts. And during my time at boot camp, I decided I wanted to be a full-time Marine. So I was honorably discharged during boot camp and signed up for the active.
Oh, I didn't know they did it that way. I thought it would be like a lateral transfer or something.
No, you actually get that opportunity. Once they discharge you, you are really discharged for 24 hours.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
So I could have walked out.
Did you find Parris Island to be less of a physical challenge than you thought it would be?
No, it was physically demanding.
Okay.
I just found it more mentally.
Right. That was going to be the next question. Please talk about that.
Mentally demanding. One, because I had never been away from home.
Oh, boy. Yeah, you were, 17?
First trip away from home. Had never been away from family. And to be incorporated into now a whole new family of about 70.
Right, sure.
There's a lot you have to learn and adapt to real quick.
So you're standing on the yellow footprints, right? And then you go into that building with the sign over the door through this portal. And then there are people talking to you. In my experience, it was people talking to me like I had never been talked to before. How do you remember that?
It was earth-shattering.
Right.
Not that I had never been scolded as a child.
Oh, right.
But not like that.
Right.
And to have that happen to you in the dark of night.
Right.
You have no idea about your surroundings. I know I'm in this woody building. That's all I know. And I also know we're not going to get much sleep before it's time to get up.
Right.
So your first few days in Parris Island is really a wake-up call, and you're going to make a mental decision. Do I really want to be here? Why not? You have to make that commitment very quickly.
Oh, that's right. In a moment where it seems like thinking isn't easy.
It's not. Your mind is literally spinning.
Right.
How long is this going to be? Am I going to fail? all of a sudden reality set in. Did I really do the right thing?
Right. Was there a moment when you said, these bastards are not going to win?
I went into the Marine Corps with that mindset.
Oh, okay. That's how.
Because so many people had told me I wouldn't make it.
Right.
I was determined that I was going to make it. The only time that I ever doubted myself was when it come time for the rifle in.
Really? That's
I found the weapon in my mind.
Did you have an instructor who said those are the best kind of people? Because they don't have any bad habits to unlearn?
I heard that told to us, but I didn't believe it. I just felt there was no way I was going to learn not only the makeup of a weapon, but the internal ability of myself.
Wow.
To be on the opposite end of that, and to receive all that knowledge and become a skilled shooter in a short time.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
But I did. Well, I wrote a letter to my dad. And I told him, because if you failed the rifle range, you got set back. And I told him this is probably going to be the downfall, where I either don't make it or I get set back.
So now you wrote to your dad while you were at the range, but you hadn't had qualification day yet. And you suggested to your dad that you might not make it.
Right.
Wow.
And it seemed like forever, but we were after the range. Of course, I qualified. And I got a letter, and I started reading it. I didn't recognize the handwriting. I didn't really understand the verbiage. But in a nutshell, it said, you started this, you'll finish it. It was Love, Dad. I had never seen a letter written from him in my life.
Wow. Well, that's excellent fatherly encouragement. That's really good. Yeah, father and I, wow. Do you recall a moment, maybe it was right along, when you decided this is what I want my career to be?
Yes. I received military's promotion to PFC out of boot camp, which meant you were within the top 10%. That in itself told me that I could do this.
That's not only did you do it, you flourished. Yeah.
And the words my dad wrote, don't ever start anything you can't finish, echoed in my mind for years, and as we progress, I'll fill it.
Good, Tim. So you decided you wanted the Marine Corps to be your career. Let's go back to what you had said before. When you first got there, it was the first time you'd ever been away from home. You were only 17 years old. How do you think the Marine Corps helped you to become self-confident, sort of self-directing man?
Well, growing up, being the middle child of 9, nothing derogatory against my family, and it's just the way it shook out. There were many, many times and occasions when he just felt like I was lost. I was in the shuffle. You were part of the gang, but you weren't.
Yeah.
The elders, of course, they were paving the way. And the youngins, they were going to be the last. So when really you were just do. And then the Marine Corps, just from the advertisements I had seen, showed that I had an opportunity. They were going to afford me the opportunity to grow and be my own self. I had to go pursue that, because nobody was going to hand me no. And that's what we grew up learning. Nobody's going to feed you. You got to go feed yourself.
You know, we we recognize anyway, as a matter of history, that Americans tend to be independent people, and it certainly seems like the Marine Corps has. Well, I mean, they've been at it for a while, but are pretty good at building that in.
Yeah. And they have a short time to do that. And I say the short time is because if you don't pass that initial 13-week block, what have you set yourself up for if you cannot conquer that?
Right.
So you conquer that, you've already taken the tools that the instructors have offered you, and now they're in your toolbox. And now it's what you do with them as you move forward. Because after that training, it's a never-ending cycle of training.
Right.
For you're part of that family.
Now, you're a master gunnery sergeant. That's sort of the top of the enlisted ranks. When you're there, I was a corporal, so I don't know about this. When you're there, are you still doing training too, or are you doing the training, or is it miss? Yeah,
Doing both. Training is a never ending. Even in today's society with what I do, it's ongoing training. For both yourself and those that you work with and around. Just because you're senior enlisted position and within an element of the Marine Corps, you are still responsible for people under you.
right.
And for years, I have gone by grow and go. That's how I teach people. I don't want to see you around me forever. My responsibility is to teach you everything I know. So you will never miss me when I'm gone.
That is an excellent way of putting it. I was listening to a fellow the other day talking about styles of teaching, and what he was trying to say is, well, if you're just giving out facts, you're going to bore the student to death. There's got to be some life in it, and so you teach the fundamentals that you have to teach, but also out of your own experience. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When I want a day off, I want a day off. I should not have to be camped out by a phone or back in the day waiting on mail or come back to work with a mountain of no. So if I teach what I expect,
right,
everything should go well.
So that this is a question, even though I'm just kind of spinning it out. That includes not just whatever the skill is you want them to learn, but also that sort of self-reliance, responsibility, sense of duty,
and empowerment.
Excellent.
Empowerment. You have to empower them, otherwise they will never develop.
Right.
They have to feel empowered. They have to feel useful. They have to feel part of.
So I imagine you've had the experience of having somebody below you in rank. You're training them and you watch them develop and rise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I never want a phone call once I leave whatever office position I was in, organization that I work for. I should never get a follow-up phone call. How do we use it?
Right.
And I still live my life.
Do you have any idea about, in teaching, sort of helping people come to understand how to learn on their own?
That's a task. one, you have to know that the individual wants to, right? And when they demonstrate that want to, and that want to is usually questions. How do you do that? What can I do? I could tell you to do something if you don't want to.
Right.
Can I teach you? Yeah.
So it seems like this thing that we sometimes use a highfalutin sounding term, intellectual curiosity. But it's always seemed to me that you either have it or you don't. Would you agree with that or?
Some naturally do. Others, once they're afforded the opportunity to demonstrate their abilities and they prove that they can do it, they can develop.
Would you say that that was something that was then sort of taught to them, or that it was there naturally but it was never challenged?
I think we all have the ability.
Huh?
It's whether it's pushed. I can carry somebody through life, but are they going to be successful when I'm not there to carry them?
Yeah. Thinkers forever have been saying there are various ways of defining the word happiness, but that's what we want. Would you say it's really difficult to be happy if you can't stand on your own?
That's a loaded question.
Yes, it is.
It's loaded because I think some people will be happy. I've had a few interactions along the way with people that are happy with just performing at a...
Really?
Don't want no additional responsibility. Don't want any type of change, even if it's going to make your overall job easier. No. This is where I am. This is where I'm comfortable. Don't bother me. Others are very creative and look for ways to make it smoother, easier, quicker. So, yeah, it's a little...
And I didn't expect that answer. But it's really interesting because as you were talking, I was thinking, yeah, we have met people who, the motto seems to be, I strive to meet minimum standards.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you saw that in the military. And you hear it in the military. What's the minimum I have to do to pass? Is that really a way to look at life? The minute I always look for the ceiling. Felt like higher.
Yeah, this exchange though, it seems like pushes toward trying to refine what we mean by happiness. Can we say that to be happy is different from being content, even if being content is an element of happiness, that there's more to it? It sounds like, okay.
Some people are happy with status quo.
Right.
Some people are happy when they break that barrier. And some people are happy if they just leave them alone.
But what's the Marine Corps way? Is there such a thing? Would you say?
In my era, in my time in the Corps, the goal was excel.
Right.
Go for it all. If somebody's in front of me running, my goal was to beat that person. If somebody looked impeccable in uniform, I'm going to find some way to outshine. That was our mentality. Is it true throughout society? I don't know.
It doesn't appear to be. How do you think of the idea of esprit de corps?
Well, saw the interaction when I walked in.
Right.
That was yesteryear. I don't see it. I don't hear it in the same light, but I'm not ready to say it.
No, that's right.
I just don't know if the band is as strong as it used to be because of social media. At closing time, everybody goes that way now. We used to all congregate after hours because it was less to do. Now there's more that pulls people away. In your military, it can't be a 9 to 5. It can't.
Right.
And you can't shut off at 4 o'clock. You've got to have that brotherhood, that sisterhood going 24/7. I don't feel it walking around today. Not like we'd left it. And some of us still live it.
I know exactly what you're saying, but it seems that there are a fair number of people around us who don't seem to realize that something is different.
Or they don't want to.
That can be true.
They don't want to. Until you acknowledge there's a change in the atmosphere, there isn't.
But then, we have a generation of young people who weren't alive back when we had a more vibrant American tradition.
Well,
so they don't know what it looks like.
Well, that goes back to training.
Yeah. Take
it back to training. If I'm sharing, now, I have 6 children.
So do
I. And if we're not sharing with them what we hope that they will see in society and expect in society, have we prepared them?
That's an excellent observation. You would have to say, wouldn't you, that if we have failing young people, the elders have failed them?
Indirectly. You can't hold every adult responsible for every misfortune of the younger society. But you hold them accountable to the point of, did you do your best in preparing what you created to be successful in life? That's the best you can do.
What did you do in the Marine Corps?
I started off in mode transport. And then I was borrowed into the administrative. But to be returned.
That's some borrowing right there. The Marine Corps way. How'd you like it?
I missed the interaction in the load pool. But then having sit in the office and interact with everybody.
Oh yeah.
It turned out well. I was in a small cocoon, if you will. I didn't know anybody else. And so being borrowed into the administrative field really opened up my horizons, my vision, my really understanding the diversity that was around.
Oh, I bet that was interesting. That I didn't realize this thing has so much life to it.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed. Let's see, I got borrowed in year number 2, and I believe that really enabled me to go on to some of the different tours that I was able to have. Whereas the being confined into motor transport would really restrict.
Do you think then that broader experience contributed to your decision to be a career Marine, or had you already thought of it?
Yes. Well, yes. Yeah, I was coming up on 4 years in the Marine Corps, and I was on vacation up in Wisconsin. And like my dad, and he was a police officer, I wanted to be a police officer as well. So I stopped in, and we're talking to a police chief in Antigo, Wisconsin. And he looked at me and said, "You got 4 years in the rifle. You go back and do another 4 years. And if you don't like it, you come back and see me, I'll be doing the job."
Wow. But yeah, for this idea, I only served 4 years, so I never had to make this calculation. But you'd think, I've got 8 in. That's an investment.
And that's how I began thinking. Okay, now I got 8 years, and I'm not really feeling any pain. I'm feeling happiness. I'm learning apart. Do I really want to start over again? Because you do, that you probably don't.
Right.
No, I just wanted to keep rolling.
How long were you in?
27 years.
Wow, that's a good long time. You know, I grew up, my dad was in the Air Force. And it seemed to me that it was almost like a point of culture there. I don't mean, the Air Force is great. I don't mean to, we have an Air Force colonel on our board, an excellent man. But people are almost sort of programmed to do 20 and stop. But Marines don't seem to be that way.
No, something, you hit the 20 years, then you go, wow, that went by fast. And I'm not quite done. I'm not done. I'm not ready to separate because, as we talked earlier, that brotherhood, that family, I'm not ready to separate. I got to keep going. I know there's more. There's something more I can do. There's someone else I can touch. And so we're just hanging.
Our mutual friend, Sergeant Major Houle, can occasionally be heard saying, if they'd let me, I'd suit up and go right back at it. Does that resonate with you at all?
If push comes to shove, that the need was great. Yes. But as we touched on very lightly, what the Corps is like today,
Oh, right.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I could adapt. And they carried way too much gear.
Really? I mean, it was just a Swiss Army knife. It's a little more than that. Is it?
I had a son in for 8 years. Endured Afghanistan. The amount of field gear that he had to carry was unbelievable. I'm like, when you guys putting them?
Is it still called a field marching pack, or is?
They're weight out, sir.
Oh, really? What does the thing weigh?
a lot. And it's not just a pack, it's packs.
Really?
They are packs and they are bags. You'd be amazed if you saw their inventory.
With it. I don't know what's in it, but do they need enough?
Yeah. Yeah, they use it all.
Wow.
And depending on the unit you're with, will determine the volume of gear that you're entrusted with. He was part of MARSOC.
Oh, okay.
So when they go out, they're gone. It's like you lose.
So they're in the field a lot longer. I don't know, well, that would explain why they have to take a lot more stuff, right? Now, is it, I would imagine it's stressful on your body to haul all that weight around, or do they not carry it with them all the time?
It is. Where I work now, I see the physical injuries
Really?
from the amount of weight. You see more and more veterans with canes, limps, and hunchbacks. It's a sad sight.
And it sounds a lot, I don't mean to trivialize, but like being a professional athlete in a violent sport.
Yeah, the physical readiness, of course, is increased since our day. But the physical demand has also increased.
Now that's okay. So the increase in physical demand, would you say it generates an increase in fitness, if that's the right way to say it?
Have to.
Yeah.
Have to. I watched my own son for 8 years. I gotta go to the gym. I gotta go to the gym. I gotta get this. And then, I give you a hand unloading the gear, and like, oh my God.
But no thanks, I've got this.
Yeah. No one okay.
Why'd you get out? Do you mind if I ask?
2 tours in Afghanistan,
Oh, right, sure.
and he served as a sniper. He looked at me one day and I told him, I said, it's your decision. I can only imagine where he went.
Yeah, right.
That was it.
Do you have to be an expert to qualify for the training?
For the training he went into,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, you go through some very intense training, screenings, different levels of screening before you're even admitted to, they'll say, their boot camp. And then you graduate from there and then become part of the team.
That's interesting.
It was when they brought back the Marine Raiders, and he was...
No, those are MARSOC types, right? Yeah, okay. And is that where the snipers come? Or where they're trained, where they pretty much serve? Okay.
Of course, it's still a force being called.
Oh, right, sure. What do you think about the assertion with regard to MARSOC that Marines are special force?
Well, aren't they? And that's a good question, because part of what my son went through in his decision to separate, it was a result of his encounter with them. And I'm not saying that negative, but he almost come to the point of believing he was invincible, which was very dangerous.
Did he recognize it as dangerous?
He barely recognized it.
Wow.
We got him into counseling and brought him back around. But even out in society, he was believing that. He was invincible, could do nothing wrong, nobody could track him. But you gotta bring him back.
Given my limited experience with the court, something like that, you can understand how that could happen to somebody, or you?
Well, they always said we were brainwashed in boot camp. Were we?
I didn't think so.
I wasn't.
No, I didn't think so.
It was called just paying attention.
You have to do that.
Yeah, well, family of 9, we grew up, obey, respect, blah, blah, blah. So going into boot camp and you heard that, well, that's a no-brainer, so that part was easy.
Yeah, yeah.
But going into an organization like my son was, you could probably be convinced of what he was starting to believe.
Sure. You do work with veterans now, right? Could you talk about that a little bit? How you got started with it?
I think back in 2015 to come over and look at becoming the office manager for a readjustment counseling center. It's referred to as a vet center. And the vet center was created in 1975 for returning Vietnam vets, combatmen. Since then, it's expanded widely. Whereas now we can even accept active duty folks for counseling.
Oh, really?
The easiest way for me to describe what happens is you have a broken individual, male, female, y'all know it. And broken is physically, mentally, emotionally. And they come in, you're connected with a counselor that is best going to be suited for them. And as little as 90 days, you see this transition.
Really?
Like an individual to happy, can't wait to come in. And as part of counseling, our center in particular, we had 23 different groups of meditation to cooking, gardening, fly tying, PTSD, anger management, coping skills, yoga, you name it.
Why? I mean, what's the purpose? Do you have to get their mind involved in something like fly tying, for example?
The groups are created by the flyers.
Really?
We would like to do this. Perfect. The end result of the vet center is to re-engage them into a social setting.
Okay. So because of whatever kind of trauma this person has had, he or she is withdrawn?
Pretty much.
Okay. And so you're trying to reconnect.
Yes. And a lot of it begins with the one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not talking derogatory, but the VA, we are part of the VA, but we're like a cocoon. We do not connect to any other aspect of it. And when a client walks in, how do you get to us? Why us? Well, the VA, I can see them in about 6 months. Well, what else do you in about 6
months? Excellent.
Great. You walk the door, you are the most important person in the moment.
And that sounds like somebody that's in distress like that needs to feel. Yes. Somebody cares.
Yes. I still open the door for every person coming to us. Because in the moment, it's about them.
Right. Right.
And now they carry that message. They are our best advertisement.
That's really wonderful and encouraging. But it suggests too, doesn't it, that in order for human beings to flourish as human beings, we have a nature. It's moral because we have a will. It's intellectual because we have a mind. But we also have to be in with other human beings. And as we were sort of mentioning earlier, it's not just people in close proximity, but there has to be a way of being together, I think, that we could call a tradition.
Yes. And that's the purpose behind the groups. Groups are not for everybody.
Right.
Some people just will not cross that boundary. And that's okay. As long as they're getting that one-on-one.
Sure. Oh, right.
Just happy. But I mean, they will, grip and grin in the Wallaby area and all that. They just cannot be in a group setting. With like some folks still cannot go out to a restaurant. But for those who want to get into the group, they go to their counselor. What group is going to best suit your needs? Because everybody adds it.
How do you go about determining that?
That's displaying them in the count.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. How many counselors do you have?
We have 7 councils. And we just got approved from them. We are the largest vet center in the nation.
Really?
Here in Jackson.
So I guess getting approved for another one is a sign of success.
It is awesome. And our numbers, last year we had just over 14,000 patients.
Wow. Sounds like you folks are busy.
People are not afraid to ask for help. And that's an important message. You cannot be afraid to ask for help because help is there.
Okay. And that applies to people. What percentage of the people you serve are on active duty?
It's probably growing each year because just last year the Marine Corps signed an agreement with Readjustment Counseling Center, not us, but nationwide, to allow active duty to be seen.
Oh, good. So if the commandant has approved it, then an active duty Marine, or say you have sailors too, could come to you without risking any kind of detriment to his career.
Absolutely, because confidentiality is first.
Oh, good.
What goes on in our vet center cannot be seen or heard by anybody except through the individual. If he or she knows that, then
it's not said. That's good.
Right. Because nobody's business wire, right? And I personally tell every new client that your privacy is first and foremost.
You'd think that would be an incentive to say, okay, I'm gonna sort of bear in here, and I'm going to do what it is that I need to do to.
And they do.
That's good.
Oh yes, they do. We have some folks that have been around for years, and it's not because they're broken. It's because that is their safe haven.
Oh yeah.
That's their home away from home, and that's how we sell it. This is your facility. Use it. No time limit, no cost.
The question that's coming to mind is, so that you have these people, and this very good work is being done, but people, maybe you can't sort of characterize in general, but what sort of family life do a lot of these folks have?
Most of them, I would say a good majority of them, have a normal family life.
Okay.
It's either them as the individual or somebody very close to them has recognized a problem.
Oh, okay. So their showing up might actually suggest that they've got responsible people around them. Very good.
And again, I'm not a counselor, but I meet and greet every new person. I sit and kind of get a flavor for what brings you here, so I can kind of help address the staff and who best should see this person. No, the home is not wrecked. They're not on their last leg. It's, I got a problem. I don't have a hand. Well, you're in the right spot. Now you do have a couple broken cases, bad. Why'd you wait this long? And recently, even the Onslow County courts have set up a veterans court. Run by one judge. In fact, we'll have a counselor there today. And it's not go do this or go to jail. It's, do you want to that person coming into the court, a veteran?
Right.
Do you want help? Are you looking for help?
Now, these obviously, maybe not obviously, would be veterans who have broken the law.
Yeah, or something. Broken minor. If you're looking for help, these are the resources that we have connected with. And they come around, saw what we had, would we be a suitable recommendation?
Mm-hmm.
If a veteran says, well, I'm going to go to the vet center for help, the court already knows about the vet center. They were on the list of acceptable options. But it's not mandated by the court because nobody can be mandated to come to a vet center. You either walking on your own or either.
Let's say that it is, this is a question, a minor kind of offense that wouldn't be treated with jail time but a fine. Could this judge say, if you go there, I'll waive the fine?
I have yet to be able to sit in or one of the sessions in court. So for me to answer that,
okay.
But the judge really understands it can't be court helps. It has to be, are you looking for that help?
Right.
Because otherwise it would give the indication that Johnny's coming to us because that was his only option other than.
Right. No, that suggests that maybe he won't be serious about the work.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anybody who walks through our door, it's because they want to be with us.
Right. This is
call and say, my husband really needs help. What do I got to do?
well, you can't do it.
I can tell you what he can do. He can come see us. But you can't drag him in here on wish, because it's not going to work.
So this is sort of winding up a couple of questions where we try to sort of turn all this back to a wider perspective. Isn't that true everywhere, And I think you were saying that early on, talking about Paris Island. You've got to want to.
You've got to want it. Say you've gone through a career, and one day you wake up and you feel broken. Or, I can use myself personally. There was a day, maybe 7, 8 years ago, my wife looked at me and she said, you got to talk to somebody. You got problems. And I didn't know I had problems. But apparently every night, I spent half the night having a hell of a time in my sleep.
Oh, really? Wow.
I would wake up soaking wet from sweat, and until I went and talked to somebody, I never knew I had a problem. So yeah, you gotta want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted to. And that's what's rewarding when you, as a teacher, are wanting to teach and train somebody. They've got to want to. Only then are you both successful.
Yeah. Yeah. And when those cultural connections start to erode, it sounds, and you were mentioning social media, which I don't do social media, but I hear it's pretty nasty in most places. But that it's those human connections are necessary for us to understand. This is actually a question, to understand if there's something that's sort of getting out of balance in me, I might not be able to see it, but those close to me could.
Oh, very.
But there must be trust.
Yeah. Both during my time in the Marine Corps. You're churning along, bleeding, you're doing a good thing, and all of a sudden somebody very close to you calls you aside and says, "Man, you gotta watch this." Totally unaware of it. Well, in today's society, it's still true.
Yeah.
Well, now I think we're just happy as a bird because we get up today and able to walk on this side of the dirt.
Right.
And we do become robotic.
Yeah, that's true. You can have it.
And what we do, and until somebody highlights the good, bad, or ugly, we don't know. And most likely, we don't want to accept that what we must treat.
Right. Yes, that's another way we could say it, couldn't we? Is as long as you're alive, we should be. What you said is grow up and go. As long as we're alive, we should be growing.
Yes. I preached that for years, and some of the folks that nobody ever worked for me, they always work with me. And I would tell them, I do not expect you to be here forever. He was like, "Boy, you don't like me?" No, I love you. I want you to move on. I want to see and hear about your success.
Right. You can't stay in the nest forever. Well, this has been interesting, I must say. This conversation went, the way it meandered around was just terrific. I'm sure it's going to be good for our viewers. So we'll say, Master Gunnery Sergeant Brian Carey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.